Hey folks, my name is Pravus and welcome to Endzone 2, a post-apocalyptic city builder. You guys might recall I played the first game extensively on the channel some time ago. Well, now the sequel is officially entering into early access today on August 26th. And we actually took a look at the demo for this a few weeks ago, so I'm very curious to see what has changed in the meantime and what new features we've got access to. This video is going to be sponsored by the publisher Assemble Entertainment today, and a very big thank you to them for that. If as you watch this video, you like what you see and you want to learn more, there will be a link in the description down below, and maybe you can give the game a wish list or even try out the early access for yourself. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and start up a new game in survival mode on, I guess, difficult speed. Yeah, sure, why not? Difficult's probably fine, that can't go wrong. And it looks like we can change up some of the map settings if you want to. Make sure that all zones have some scrap, trees, lakes, and so on. Could do that, but I think I'll leave it as default. I like the idea of some of the zones not having resources you need to force you to colonize later in the game. So let's just leave this as is. All right, and let's get started. Now, if you already watched my demo video from a few weeks ago, you know one of the big changes in Endzone is you do not have just a set starting location. Instead, you start off with a settlement van and you start looking around for good locations because there are a handful of habitable zones, usually depicted by these big cliff faces over here. Now, I'm not gonna lie, what I'm seeing right here actually appeals to me. It looks to me like I've got a very large zone to work with, so lots of elbow room, a couple sources of water, plenty of scrap, some trees, we've got clay, we've got growing zones. What is not to like here? This is huge, this is a great start. You know, I don't even need to shop around. We're gonna go right up here and we're gonna go ahead and settle up. Now, the way this would normally work, though, is you would take your settlement van here and you drive around the map a little bit. Try to find a few more of these zones, look for any resources you want. Some things are gonna have all the resources, sometimes they're not, and you kind of plan things out. The good news is I will still be doing plenty of exploring, so I'm not really worried about whether I can see everything later. So all we have to do is just drive the vehicle up over here and we can build out a new settlement. Exactly where this gets placed depends on where the car is. I think this is fine. Let's go ahead and click the button, and boom, this zone is claimed. Let's get our town center. There we go. The settlement hath been built, and it is called Aftermath Alley. I actually like that name. I'm gonna keep that as is. It's good. All right, so now we have to play the game as you would expect from games like Endzone 1. There are a few key distinctions, though. We'll come back to some of that in a second. Let's get the basics up and running. I know that I'm gonna need some water. What we do, we place down a jetty over here next to a source of water. That is the easiest way to go, but if you can't have a source of water, then sometimes a well is going to be a good option too. We also need to make sure we get some food up and running, and a simple foraging hut for now is gonna have to do. Though odds are we're gonna be changing a lot of this later on. We could also set up a fishery, and that's not a bad plan, sure. And what else could we use? Well, raw resources come to mind. We could go ahead and get some woodcutting lodge and chop down those trees. We could also get a scrapyard. I need all of the above. Tree nurseries, not yet. Recycler and stuff, we can hold off on some of those. Yeah, let's just go ahead and get ourselves some wood cutting and some scrap. And I will need to get things like workshops, weaving mills, and so on. That all comes up later, but for now, let's just go ahead and focus on the absolute basics. I'm not gonna worry about some depots. Housing is going to be a concern, definitely. But for now, basic tents are all we need. So let's just go ahead and have people get to work building things up. We'll get some housing up first and foremost, it looks like. Perfect, thank you. We've already got things to the forging hut. Let's make sure we assign a couple of people to be working here, and I can also, I think, change the zone. Yes, work radius, we will relocate to be more over here. There's a lot more food, it's still close by, it works. And what are we missing to work with the fishery? Well, I actually need to get some tools before I can build this, and it looks like I didn't start with any at this difficulty level. That's unfortunate, but okay. We'll come back to that in a minute. So we need to make sure we have plenty of food coming in. I'll make sure we get another person assigned over here. I do like these little icons to make it easier to see what resources are currently coming in at a sufficient rate and which ones are not. Food is a little concerning. We'll see how that goes. Okay, and while they're working on that, let's go ahead and grab my Pathfinder vehicle, because it's time to go exploring. Why? Because there are ruins all over the map, places where we could potentially go and grab some fun stuff. So there's like this ruin over here, sure, right? If I click on the vehicle and loot the ruin, we find cloth, tools, wood, sure. And considering I need some tools, this early little boost actually could end up being very nice for me. More tools, perfect. I don't have to get my own tools. Let's go back and drop those off, and we'll get ourselves the fishery immediately to solve some food problems. And while we're doing this, we'll have a chance to see what some of the other zones are. Some of them do actually have slightly different biomes. For example, there are some places that have like swamps, and that actually changes how you're going to get water and do farming and stuff like that. Also, as we explore, periodically we're going to run into something special called an expedition. If I click on this, this becomes kind of like a looting minigame, unless they've changed this since the demo. We're going to find out. But it sure looks like we can look around and we can interact with some various different objects in order to try to get the best stuff. If I had a generator hooked up, we'd be able to open up this garage. So let's look around, see if we can either find a generator or other resources. Sometimes you have to bring tools and other things over here in order to actually fully access an expedition. So it might take more than one trip. What's this over here? Is this a fuse box of some sort? No, looks like we found some sort of an axe. That's useful. Well, with the generator, we could hook this up. Let's go ahead and do that. And that opens, I hope, the... No, I think we still need it. There we go. We did actually get in. Okay. So we managed to get inside of the garage. We can do some proper looting there. Also, you may have noticed we got a knowledge point. This is, of course, the science we'll be using in order to unlock better stuff in our town. It's a little early to worry about this right now, but stacking up a lot of this is nice, and you really only get it from doing a lot of expeditions. Iodine, some food, that all seems good. Looks like some medical supplies. Sure. Electronics. Okay, sure. Cloth. I like all of this. Also a plant. Plant encyclopedia. Ooh. If I had this and brought it with me, we could actually discover some seeds. Now that could be very useful. Not sure where we get that encyclopedia, so this is a case of an expedition where I'm going to have to come back. So for now, let's just go ahead and take everything that I found so far, and then we will leave, and we'll have to come back another day. Yeah, a lockpick. Now that could also be useful. Axes and lockpicks sometimes open up doors that otherwise would be locked to you, so keeping a few of those around as you explore is not a bad plan. Don't forget your base, though. It's tempting to ignore a lot of this, but that would be a mistake. Right now, we're looking good over here. The basics are taken care of. Okay. So with that in mind, it may not be a bad plan to go ahead and get myself some research taken care of. So we have those 2 knowledge points. By clicking on the research screen, you can see that we now have economy, ecology, and society as 3 different research trees that I will need to be worried about. So we can spend these points to go ahead and unlock some of these. Clay pits. Now, we do have the ability to get clay in this particular zone, so getting this wouldn't be bad. Swamps, not a high priority. I don't have swamps in my starting biome. Special upgraded housing, that could be kind of useful. Let's spend 1 point for now to get the economy up and running. You can see that now unlocks both of these. However, I need to have some tools first. Okay, so we have the ability to research these, but until I get the resources, we can't do anything there. Let's go ahead and unlock this over here, and once again, yeah, I'm behind on a few things. I need to get bricks before I can get any further. So we need to get ourselves some tools. With that in mind, then, let's go ahead and get ourselves some trades up and running. I need to get myself a workshop. And with the workshop, we'll be able to get myself some tools, and with some tools, we can get better stuff. And actually, I just realized the fishery can't do anything right now because we don't have any tools, and you need tools to do fishing now. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so let's not worry about that then. Let's save the workers and have them work exclusively just on getting the workshop up and running first. Okay, workshop's done. It'll take some wood and some scrap, but we can go ahead and start making those tools. And by the way, you may notice for some of these buildings that there are a few things that are going to be helpful to boost up their efficiency. For example, the workshop is currently linked up to a town center, therefore improving its efficiency by 10%. We're also within range of a depot, which is actually just the town center in this case, but it could be any other storage building, which is getting another 10% efficiency. So make sure you're always planning around having maximum boosts to get the most value out of each of your workers. Anyway, while we do all of that, let's continue with some exploration. Looks like we found ourselves another expedition this away. If you hold down the space bar, by the way, it actually will highlight things that you can interact with, just in case you're a little bit hard of seeing, like I am on occasion. So there's a door, car, crate, barrel, ladder, etc. Barrel, have some scrap. We need this ladder, so I can use this probably somewhere to get... maybe somewhere inside of the building. Whenever you find things like ladders and stuff, it's usually needed for completing something else in the expedition. Ah, we can use the axe I found elsewhere, though. Okay, so that's good. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe that's something they changed. It used to be with the expeditions you could do that. If you found a ladder, it probably meant you needed a ladder somewhere else. Maybe they've changed it, though, so you really need to find a bunch of tools in different locations and then bring them along, and then sometimes that's enough to solve it. So it's less of a self-contained expedition and maybe more interconnected. That would be interesting. Anyway, what do we find here? Some rubber gloves, good for protection against radiation. We find some vaccines. Okay, and then checkout counter. Check, please. Okay, and this looks like it's just going to give me a bit of lore. That's everything then. All right, easy enough. Did find a bridge. Yeah, if we explore this with an expedition, we would be able to possibly fix the bridge, get around it in some way. Maybe get some more knowledge points. That could be good. Might be a little expensive to fix, though. I'll bet you I don't have all the resources I need up front. Let's just keep exploring for a sec. Yeah, it looks like we need 100 wood.
Let's go.
I might be able to get that just by exploring, to be honest. Wood is also fairly easy to come by. So we'll come back to this one. I'm a little full on some other resources. Maybe it'd be worth trying to get... No, I can't really get things like some cisterns or food depots or anything like that. We need plastics. All right, tell you what, that goes to the next things we need. That's going to be the weaving mill to start getting some fibers and get some cloth. I know I need that. We'll get tailors and stuff later. I also need to have a recycler so that I'll be able to get myself some plastics. Now, one thing to note here. See the little radius around this building and then the little plus signs. This is telling me up front that I will get some efficiency buffs by having things, let's say, on the road and close to storage, but also by placing this close to the scrapyard. So it's actually kind of important that you actually place your buildings intelligently so that they are getting adjacency bonuses with lots of interworking buildings. They're not, like, directly linked. It's just, like, nice little passive bonuses. It's not too complicated. You can live without it if you don't want it, but it is smart. It's worth planning out your village ahead of time. Oh, hang on. Found ourselves another zone. I knew they were around here somewhere. There's usually, like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 of them or so on the map. This one's actually very good, too. It's got everything I would want. It's got water, it's got clay, it's got more fertile soil, trees, etc. Yeah, this is good. This would have also been a very viable start. However, notice how much smaller this zone is compared to the one that I got. So I'm happy with this. Still, we will be able to settle some of these other zones later on in the game. It's worth knowing where I can go. Find ourselves another expedition in this old decrepit house. Yeah, see, here's a good location. Use the ladder that we've been bringing along with us, and boom, we have the ability to get this. Oh, I bet you have to recover these before you leave. Maybe, let's find out. Ooh, and we found ourselves the seed encyclopedia. Beautiful. Okay, so, ooh, yeah, I have to take my ladder back if I want it. So I can only have 4 different expedition tools. This is good to know. So that generator is something I actually could have brought with me another time. Interesting, very interesting. Okay, well, let's go pack up the ladder for sure. Might as well always have at least a few tools on hand. Is it even possible for us to get some farms yet? Well, there are tree nurseries. So, yeah, we could place these down and try to get some trees grown. That'd be useful. Plantations, there it is. Till this on the fertile soil to get fibers or natural latex. Probably other things later on. Now, this does look like it has a fixed size. So we'll want to place it, like, let's say over here. Sure, take advantage of as much of this space as possible. Start growing some fibers so we can start weaving up some cloth. Because y'all know the radiation is gonna get us if we don't have ourselves at least some protective clothing. So I'll plant this down. Fibers look good. Get somebody working over here. Area is currently under cultivation. We can see the progress meter on this. And we could change up some seeds. I've only got 2 right now. So let's get back over here to this expedition and then look at the plants. Use the encyclopedia. We discovered sunflowers. Can use that for some food. I suspect we can also use that to get ourselves some sunflower oil. Make sure we get our generator back and we're good to go. Okay, now let's get back over to the bridge. I want to see what happens here. I don't recall if this was something I was able to do in the demo before, but I sure as heck can now. And if I spend the 100 lumber... Oh, I also need 100 scrap. Good thing I brought that along. Ah, I need tools. Darn it. All right, so it's a multi-stage process, but I'm getting knowledge points for doing this. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to show off every single expedition. At the end of the day, a lot of you guys want to see the city building, and fair enough, but considering that is a very big part of Endzone, and it is something to do and keep yourself preoccupied while your city is kind of naturally building itself up, I want to make sure I show off at least a fair bit of it. By the way, so now that we have a plantation, I need to also set some cultivated areas. Let's go ahead and do something kind of like this, right? Take advantage of all of this fertile area. Let's not forget we need to make sure that this is hooked up to a road. Now, roads are not free in this game like they were previously. It does take some tools to set down some gravel paths, so make sure you got at least a bit of this around. Let's place down a tailor's workshop so I can start making some clothes once I have fibers. I'll also need a coal kiln. Take the wood, turn that into something useful. I mean, if I place this close to my wood production and also place it close to my tailor, that's a good idea. Because the wood gets turned into coal, and the coal goes into making clothes, so I know that the tailor will also get a benefit simply by having this close by. Again, there's a big part of the game that's going to be about having lots of semi-adjacency bonuses for your workers. It takes a bit more planning. Anyway, bridge needs tools, Dunskies, and that is it. The bridge has been restored. Cool, we can go wherever we want. Oh, let's also make sure we do not get ourselves housing capped. Kind of important we don't do that. Let's also make sure we're using our research points. So I'll go ahead and unlock ecology just so I have this as an option. Mineral depots, a vulcanizer, turn latex into rubber. Yeah, that sounds like the sort of thing we're going to want at some point soon. Water towers, bigger farms. Yeah, we'll need that for the sunflowers. Upgraded food depots. Sure, vaccines, bathhouse, pharmacy. Lots of useful things to make people happier. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and use those tools I brought back, get the clay pit up and a-running, then go for bricks. With bricks, I'll get some upgrades to housing. And just in case you guys were worried that this game was not going to have some difficulties in it, we haven't found it yet, but oh, there are still natural disasters in this game, just like in the first one. Don't you worry, things might be nice right now. We'll call it a honeymoon period. Everything's going to start getting pretty rough soon. Actually, kind of case in point, not a disaster really, but we do have some rain starting to fall, which is usually good. Rain can help improve fertility in a lot of areas. It could also bring along like some toxic radioactive rain, so you gotta be a little bit careful about that. But right now, this is only gonna be good for my fields. I can't be upset about this. Any other research I could do in the meantime? We could start learning about the swamp farm, but that doesn't do me a whole lot of good, not yet. What about the pavilion though? Sure, why not? An attractiveness building. How useful is that gonna be at this stage of the game? I don't know. Ooh, giant windmills. Sure, why not? Let's go ahead and set ourselves up some expeditions and see what I can do with a windmill. We could use the axe to whack open the door, and then we get a ladder all the way up to the top. Oh, wait, use tools to do something here. Oh, we can boost up the ladder and go up another level? Holy crud, look at this. We're actually inside of a turbine. I mean, that's kind of cool. Nice. There's even a way to get up. Oh my gosh, hello. Someone set up over here on top of the windmill. Yeah, sure, if you're enjoying a post-apocalypse, you gotta admit, like, the view's pretty good. Yeah, I can already tell that the developers have put a bit of effort into making more unique expeditions from the demo that was shown off, which I really appreciate. I like that there's gonna be a bit more differentiation. Makes it feels like it's more worth exploring, you know? Uh-oh, what's this? What do I see here? Toxic rain is going to be hitting soon. Oh, God. All right, that means we need to have more clothes. Well, right now I'm making these activated carbon masks, which should be good. We could change that out, you know, get some rubber gloves and stuff like that, but I would need the latex. For now, I think this is fine. Activated carbon just means that we can absorb the radiation that way. So that seems like a safer option for now. Anyway, we have the pavilion. Good. Now we can do research for the bricks. And what would it take to get things like a pavilion? And is there even much of a point in doing that? The answer is yes, it is worth building those because it boosts up the happiness of your people. It's a much larger pavilion than I expected, but this actually fits very nicely in my area. Cool. And now with the pavilion and a campfire, happiness should be a fair bit higher. So now we're at 65% over there. If we had medical supplies, it would be a little bit better. Noise could cause some problems. Pollution could cause some problems. Yeah, at some point we're gonna have to start thinking about where we place down a lot of our industrial buildings versus our residential buildings, because that can all add up and become a problem too. Anyway, we're continuing to build out our population. We've got enough workers to go around there. I need more people working at the woodcutters lodge. I need more people planting down trees so we don't run out of nearby sources. And by the way, one thing to note, if I were to take this woodcutting lodge and let's say move its work radius over here, right? There's plenty of trees to be had. But notice we actually do get a production penalty for a far off working area. That's another change from things like Endzone 1. Like, there was already kind of implied that there was a penalty simply because things were further away, but the way things are represented right now and the fact that there's no, like, transportation resources, it teleports, just means that you actually do have to accommodate for the fact that things are far away by penalizing you. So, the placement of your buildings, it does ultimately matter. That's why I wanted to place down a tree farm close by. And radiation levels rise again. Okay, more toxic rain. Oh, good, 2 in a row. Thank you. It's gonna be fine, it's gonna be fine. Who's worried? I'm not worried. Are you worried? Why would you be worried? Ah, look at this. Okay, by placing this brickworks close to homes, you can see that their happiness goes down a lot. We want to place this close to where the coal is being produced. We would normally want to place this close to where the clay is being produced. But that's really far away, so no thank you. More plants, by the way. We can get more seeds. What do we find? Potatoes! Tubers! Good. Ooh, but here's, for example, a silo where I need a blowtorch. Haven't found one of those yet. I don't think you can craft these special exploration items. I am assuming you have to find them. Could be wrong on that point. But otherwise, how are we looking? Pretty much green across the board right now. This is what you like to see. At least until the next disaster hits, anyway. Found more seeds. Corn this time. I like corn. And I mean the vegetable as well as the band. Corn spelled with a K. Feels like that's a little bit old school these days, but they're pretty metal. Okay, so the huts are done. What does this do? Boosts up settler capacity. Living space is doubled in a hut. Alright, so it would be tempting to get a whole load of these. Let's be careful about that, though, because with the extra consumption, if I were to boost this up very quickly, we probably would find a situation where people are having too many babies and I enter into the dreaded death spiral. And nobody wants to do that. Now, one thing that's interesting here, am I crazy? Or in the demo, did it used to be that there were different types of housing based on, you know, economy, sociology, and ecology within our city? Maybe that's something that comes later on, but I'm pretty sure that was available right from the get-go. It looks like maybe they've changed that. Interesting. Yeah, no, that was a thing. So there was housing where you could have specialized kinds of housing, and if it was placed next to the proper work sites, you would be able to get some extra bonuses. So it was set up so that you wanted to have, like, districts or zoning kind of within your town. That's how it was. You'd have green houses, yellow houses, blue houses, that kind of a thing. I don't see that as a thing anymore, though. Looks like they stripped that out entirely. Okay. Interesting. I think I'm going to miss that slightly, but, you know, it does simplify things a bit, too. I really want to get this farming up and running. Food is constantly fluctuating. It's a small problem. A farm really would solve all my problems, though. I mean, I do have seeds. I really want this. I just need to get the iron tools. I need to get these upgraded workshops going. Ugh. 15 iron bars. That's a lot of bars. I don't even have any iron ore. In fact, I don't think we found a single zone that has iron at this point. This may be a case where I need to go ahead and cross this bridge and see if I can find zones. Now, I don't know if maybe certain resources are locked behind, like, just larger clusters of zones, right? Like, because there's 3 zones on this side of both rivers. I think there's, like, 3 or 4 more small ones over on the right side and, like, 3 more on the bottom or something along those lines. So maybe certain resources are separated so that you have to go exploring across the river in order to get more. Like, this is where I'm still kind of feeling out some of the progression. I'm getting it, but there's a few things I need, and I have to find them first. What kind of zone are we looking at up over here? Okay, we found the iron ore. So this is kind of lending to what I was saying before, where, like, maybe, just maybe, the game is set up in such a way where you really do have to start exploring across the river to get to the mid-tier stuff. So we found 2 iron deposits, plus there's plenty of farming ground. No trees, but there is water. So, like, if we need to set up another colony over here, this is totally doable. But I would need to go back home and get, like, 2 more people and then bring them over here to go ahead and start settling. And I'll probably need more than 2, honestly, just to get my basic needs met. Plus, it wouldn't be a bad thing to find myself, like, an extra car or something so I could actually set up trade routes. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to micromanage all of that, and that would be kind of tricky. So we have 4 people who are available over here. I'm kind of thinking that maybe it is time to go ahead and do a little bit of colonization. Yeah? We'll just go ahead and do that. Make sure we bring along a decent amount of starting water, plus some food, and a few other basic resources to get us started. Plus, like, some masks and a few other things. Yeah? All right, cool. So this is how we're going to start the colonization process. Let's go ahead and grab this group and move them over here. Build a settlement like so. Perfect. New town center. I probably want to place it kind of over here. I don't really like the placement of these houses, but I need this close to water and some potential food manufacturing in the future. So I guess this will have to do. I also want to keep it kind of close to where the iron will be located. There we go. Okay, at least now we've got ourselves a jetty for some water and a fishing pier that gets me into the green, though not permanently. So yeah, now we have to really manage 2 different areas at once. I think this is where the game starts getting a lot more complex. You got to pay attention to a lot of things all at once. Which is not a bad thing. Actually, I'd say that's a very good thing. It makes things quite interesting. Anyway, so we got the farm research done. Let's go ahead and learn about the... Let's go ahead and learn about the advanced tailors, since I should be able to research that. But we also know we need to get iron smelters. I also need to get the iron mines research. We don't have any of that yet. That said, until we get some more population over in the new village, I'm not sure how much good that does me. So, the upgraded workshop. Let's do this just so I have upgrades as far as efficiency. Right, so I can make tools a little bit faster. And then if I need to, I'll be able to start transferring resources back and forth. Ooh, but this is going to be unfortunate timing. Looks like we have a drought on the way. Imminent drought, 7 minutes, and we are going to have no water whatsoever. Not good, not good, not good. Let's make sure we stockpile as much as we can. This is the sort of thing that can get you killed in a game, 100%. It's fine, no problem. All right, so there's the upgraded workshop, just a little bit more efficient than it was before. I can have a lot more people working in it. And for the iron tools, you have to have the iron bars, not scrap. So we can't make any of these. Well, we can, but not very many. And the drought has arrived. Okay, so normally the way that works is we're going to see the water levels recede dramatically, and we're not going to be able to get pretty much anything. This is going to last for only 5 minutes. It's honestly not that bad. And also, it looks like it's only affecting... Is it only affecting the Aftermath Valley? Yeah, sure enough. Okay, so there is still some water over here. Now, see, that's good to know because from a lifeline perspective, if I need to, I could start mass-producing water over here and shipping it back to the settlement in a pinch. Very good to know that exists. Anyway, we got the iron mine. Now I need to get the iron bars, but I can't do that until I actually mine something. How about we get the upgraded tailors then? And over here, if I want to get the mine, now we can. Ah, but I need bricks and stuff, as well as a lot more tools. Okay. I think that maybe the best thing I can do is take my car and start setting up some trade routes. Let's go to transportation routes, because this is a big part of the game. We're going to create a new route that goes from here over to here, and I need to load up some inventory. What were we sending over there? We're going to send things like tools and stuff, right? As well as bricks. Let's plan on that. Now, I may not keep this route forever, but for now, let's just do this. I'm going to start gradually loading things up and bringing them over. Well, there's nothing I want to bring back from the confines yet. So for now, let's just go ahead and accept this. All right, so we have a transport route. Automatically picks up what I need and moves it around. That's good. And in the meantime, we now have a farm. I need farmers working here. Yes, I do not need iron tools to work the farm, just to plant it down. Good. But what do we want to place? Well, I already know how to make wheat. We could go for corn, though. Takes more water, makes more food. Potatoes seem great, though. More water for even more food. And then sunflowers, yeah. Interesting, though. Maybe I can't turn sunflowers into oil. I don't see anything that says that I can actually get an output of sunflowers, just of food. So it's really a question of how much water to food ratio are you willing to spend? And actually, it looks like, weirdly enough, I think that the wheat is technically the best value in terms of food per water. If I'm like 175 over 70, that's like a 2.5 ratio, right? Yeah, wheat is the best in terms of water. However, you have to do the trade-off of one is faster than the other. Yeah, so I think the trade-off then is just how much water are you willing to spend in order to get food faster. That's all it is. In which case, I think potatoes are probably a pretty decent turnaround, very middle of the road. Large turnover every 4 minutes. Pretty okay ratio in terms of water, almost equivalent to wheat. Potatoes OP, that's what we've learned. Now, tailors can get upgraded. Let's go ahead and get that built. And there we go. Just like before, we have a lot of extra workers, and now I have more recipes available, including decontamination kits and lead vests. Very protective against radiation. I don't need this right now, but I like the extra efficiency on the things I already have. So, let's get that iron mine up and a-running. I don't see if there's any reason I couldn't place it like this. No, I have to place it like this, I think. Yeah, only way it's gonna fit. Boo. It's fine. Still in range of the transportation, which is what I care about. One thing I'd love to know is when I can find myself another car. Would definitely make my life a little easier if I could do that. All right, there's the iron mine. Let's get a couple of people working over here. Give me that iron ore! And it does take a very long time for these farms to come to fruition. Yeah, I imagine that this goes a lot faster if it's full. Because what they've said is you have like 4 minutes or so. Yeah, 4 minutes and 40 seconds to grow potatoes, but it seems like it's going to take a lot longer than that. So instead of reducing your yields and still getting a harvest every 4 minutes, it looks like it just takes longer. which is unfortunate because it means that it takes a very long time to get, like, fruition out of this crop. I sometimes would rather have less yields, but at least it's coming through a little bit faster and more consistently. Kind of like the fishing and stuff is right now. Still, when this pays off, it'll pay off in a big way. And there's still more expeditions to find, and so far I think I've only seen one repeat. Like, they've definitely added a lot more of these since the demo. Plenty more things to explore, less repetitive. That is great. Now, one problem I am running into that I didn't anticipate, so I do have dead bodies. Not from, like, people dying of radiation. I mean, maybe they're doing that. But, mostly just, like, literally from old age and stuff. So, we actually do need to get a graveyard. I was a little worried I was going to have to research that. I'm glad I don't. Thankfully, this is ready to go. And I also really need to get these advanced jetties up and running, because I am not keeping up with water production anymore. So, let's go ahead and unlock more ecology. Ah, of course I need iron tools! Alright. Fair enough, fair enough. It's fine, we can brute force it. More jetties! Oh, here we go. Okay, so I found an abandoned camp over here, and mostly I've just been looting it until I discovered, hey, look, some tire rims. If I just had some rubber, I could make them into tires. Maybe there would be a way of repurposing a car here, or maybe we have to build one more or less from scratch. But, okay, that's probably one crucial step. That is my guess. Actually, yeah, obviously, it's this bus. Can't drive the bus without wheels. Okay, so if I could find the latex seeds and get that running, we would be able to get another bus, and that would make trade so much easier. So that's a longer-term goal, something we'll have to do later on. We're gonna be wrapping up this video here pretty soon, but what else do we have besides things like treatment plants built on a swamp to get more water? Okay, better plantations, lumberjacks, glass, mules, buggies. Oh, okay, so we can upgrade different kinds of cars. The vehicle workshop. Rain collectors, more farms, recycling centers, a Titan, whatever this is, a spacious vehicle that can cross swampy and hazardous terrain. Well, that seems useful. Not to mention some statues, upgraded housing. Yeah. Lots more that we could do here. And based on the progression of the game so far, like, I'm about 2.5 hours in so far here, and there's a long way to go. So before, I feel like in the demo, we were able to kind of just breeze through things very quickly. Now it actually does take a little bit of time and planning, and it does take kind of a more natural progression of setting up in 2 different locations and starting to transport resources back and forth, and it's not quite as convenient as you want it to be yet, right? Because we haven't got all the tools we need, the better buses and so on. That's going to be a convenience, but for now, we can still make it work with what we've got. Let's go ahead and research this. Boom. So the iron smelter is in work. Everything is turning up Pravus right about now. But I do think that's where we're going to be ending this particular video. So yeah, it's come a fair bit of a ways. A few changes. Changing up things at the houses and stuff is kind of a major departure from what we saw in the demo. That's fine. It does simplify things quite a lot. So I think people are probably going to prefer things like that, but there we go. And then, yeah, just generally the progression and the balancing of the game seems to have changed quite a bit. I'm curious, as the early access continues, what kind of end game goals there are going to be. Because don't forget, in things like Endzone 1, there were like giant memorials or like statues and towers and stuff that you could build in order to kind of memorialize, you know, your new thriving civilization in this post-apocalyptic Earth. So I'm curious what we're going to get in the future, and if that is going to be a thing as the early access continues to develop. We will have to see. Thank you all very much for watching. Once again, thank you to Assemble Entertainment for sponsoring this video. You guys can find a Steam link in the description down below if you guys would like to learn more about the game, maybe give it a wish list or buy the early access for yourself. Otherwise, if you wouldn't mind, I would ask you to hit that like button because it really does help. Leave a comment, subscribe for my future content, and I will see you guys next time.